Welcome to my YouTube channel. Do you remember my bobble mat New Year celebrations gowns? It's a coat style dress where the top and bottom attach with Velcro, so you can swap out different sections. Today I'm adding a brand new lower segment that attaches to the top also with Velcro. First, I chose the fabric, a green tulle with dark green sequins, a reflective fabric to place underneath the tulle, and a piece of black bedspread to keep it warm since it's still winter. I cut all three fabrics into the same rectangular shape, about 30% wider than my waistline. This extra width allows me to fold and shape the fabric so it follows the body's curves, both the narrower and the fuller areas. Then I straightened the edges of the tulle and secured the loose sequins at the edge with a needle and thread so they wouldn't fall off. My idea was to attach a beautiful knitted yarn along the edges of the tulle, similar to how fur trim is often added. I decided to use one of my knitting machines to create this decorative trim myself. But then I had another idea. Instead of using the knitted trim flat, I decided to take advantage of its natural tendency to roll into itself almost like a scroll. I re-knitted the piece and placed it along the edge of the tulle and on the wrong side so it would roll outward beautifully. I secured it in place every few inches with decorative rhinestones. I only attached the knitted segments along the side edges, the parts that close the coat, layering one over the other. For the bottom edge, I forgot to record how I decorated it with a knitted trim. So I filmed a sample now in case you would like to try this method in your own projects. First, I crocheted a simple stitch along the edge, adding chain stitches in between to create small loops. These loops allowed the decorative yarn to be anchored securely. From there, I knitted the yarn all along the edge, mostly purling to the trim, so the trim would keep the same rolled shape. For the last couple of rows, however, I switched to regular knitting stitches to stop the piece from rolling inward, since this was the bottom edge of the skirt and not the edge that continues into the tulle. Then I finished the edges of the bedspread with black satin trim using a French seam technique for a clean finish. I prefer to sew the second finishing seam of the French trim by hand, since it gives me better control over the precision. And in haute couture, seams should never be visible, so everything must be finished as cleanly as possible. After that, I gathered the top edge and secured it under the Velcro. I gathered the tulle and the reflective underlayer together on a single thread, then hand-stitched them neatly beneath the Velcro attached to the bedspread segment. This keeps the piece fully interchangeable, allowing me to remove this layer later and attach a different decorative element to the bobble mat top. Because I already had green shoes, there was no need to modify or accessorize another pair. So I shifted my attention upwards and designed a headpiece instead. I knitted a 4-row knitting pattern, blending a delicate thread with the decorative yarn from the tulle edging to maintain harmony. I then incorporated rich green 3D embroidery, creating a balanced and cohesive finish. I also introduced a soft shimmering effect, adding small sections of glittering black yarn to the chest and back. Now, it's almost impossible to imagine that this coat began its life as a simple shower bobble mat. And voila! The same New Year's bobble mat gown, reimagined with an entirely new decorated lower segment. Thank you for watching and joining me in this creative journey. I hope this inspired you to experiment with your own design and techniques. See you soon with my next project. Bye.